Let me set the scene for you. You're in the field with the boys, the sun is out, it's hot as shit, and the bushes are speaking Farsi. All of a sudden, ambush! You're being shot at by a bushwickie with his bullet shooter 47. The team lays down on him and takes his grassy boy away. Once you regain your situational awareness, you realize the squad leader has been hit. You go up to help him, and soon you realize you have no fucking clue what you're doing. This is because the boys were too lazy to teach you the basics of ACE 3 medical. This video is going to serve as the primary means of medical training for any new people in our group. If you're one of them, listen up, because you may save one of our lives in the field with this knowledge you're going to learn here today. I'll be teaching you, and your untainted mind, the basics of stabilizing an unconscious person and ultimately reviving them. I am not a medically trained professional, and I would advise against trying this in real life unless you have the proper training and education. The only reason I know all of this is because I sat in a jungle sticking morphine and epi into my buddy for half an hour trying to figure it all out. That being said, here's the sitch. You and a buddy are tasked with liberating the local playground from Al-Qaeda. Your buddy moves up ahead of you, and after an intense firefight that seems lost forever since neither side can hit the other, he's hit and unconscious. Before you go and try to save his life, you need to deal with the playground banditos first. After they're dealt with, you can go and tend to your buddy. Right off the bat, you need to be able to identify whether someone is unconscious or dead. This example I have on the screen now is of a dead body. You can tell by how ragdolly he looks. This next example, however, is an unconscious body. Notice the static animation. Next order of business, stabilize him. The way you achieve this is by focusing on any limbs a different color than the base gray. You can manage by holding the Windows key and looking at body parts, or if you press H on the patient, your game will bring up the medical menu. Yellow is for light damage, orange and red are for moderate and heavy. You need to bandage or tourniquet these limbs to stop your patient from bleeding out. It's also a good idea to take a note of his pulse at this time too. Next, if you've proactively dealt with the threat and are no longer under fire from the playground banditos, you now need to transfuse him blood depending on how much blood he's lost. If he's lost a lot, give him 1,000 milliliters. If he's lost some, give him 250 to 500. Only give him a blood transfusion if you're not currently under fire. If you are in an engagement still, you need to move your unconscious friend to safety or deal with the threat first. Once you and the patient are safe, it may be necessary to give him more blood. Pay attention to how much blood he's lost and keep monitoring his pulse for sudden drops or spikes. The patient needs to have a normal pulse and only some blood loss to wake up. Next, what happens if a patient has no pulse when you check it? Well, that's actually pretty easy. All you have to do in this scenario is stabilize him, move him if necessary, and give him a blood transfusion. In this case, he's lost a fatal amount, which is as far as blood loss goes before certain death. The previous unit giving him medical care left a tourniquet on his leg. The tourniquet doesn't patch up a wound, but it will stop someone from bleeding out until a medical unit arrives. Be careful not to leave the tourniquet on too long. Bandage the patient before you remove the tourniquet. For anyone who's lost a fatal amount of blood, I would give them 1,500 milliliters. What I usually do to remedy a patient that has no heart rate, I perform CPR, I then inject epinephrine, and then perform CPR again. Check the patient's pulse. If there's still no pulse, do not inject epi again. Continue performing CPR or shoot him and put him out of his misery. Moving the patient into cover while they're recovering is advisable, as this will give you a more stable spot to ensure their survival from their wounds.